What's up YouTube, this is DWS Darius and today we are in the fish room. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a fish room walkthrough. I want to show you guys all my tanks and this time I want to do it with a bit more detail. Usually I try to be brief with these fish room updates because these videos can be quite long. But today I'm going to give you guys a better look at the fish I keep and some of my plans for these tanks. So being that this video will be longer, in the description section, if you want to see a specific tank, you could just go down to the description section, click that link, and it'll take you to that part of the video. But yeah, this is going to be a look at all of my aquariums as of today. Okay everyone, so as always we're going to start with my 125 gallon African Cichlid tank. By the way, that's Juno the Newfoundland puppy, growing nice and big. I have Charlie the lab over there. And a lot of people ask me about Jojo. Jojo's the oldest dog, so he really don't care about being in my face. But that's Jojo the beagle in there, almost 11 years old now. But yeah, this is my 125 gallon African Cichlid tank with cichlids from Lake Malawi, Lake Victoria, and Lake Tanganyika. I have one West African jewel cichlid, I have a few clown loaches, and I have one catfish that comes from South America. But yeah, other than that, the main theme of this tank are my African cichlids. They're the main topic. And now with my African cichlid tank, I'm just pretty much in a waiting phase. And that's one of the downsides about buying your fish as juveniles. I spoke before about I only like to buy, well, I mostly buy all of my fish as juveniles for a number of reasons, but there are some downsides to that, one of which is how long it takes for these fish to color up. That's the biggest thing about this tank. That's the biggest topic about this tank. I'm still waiting for all these fish to color up. And then the chance of getting females. I ended up with a lot of females. So those are the two downsides of buying fish as juveniles. But yeah, this is the African Cichlid tank. Some of the fish are looking awesome. The dominant male is this, what is he? A dragon blood peacock cichlid, now about 6 inches. The thing about my setup is kind of like, I have two dominant males. When you keep Mbuna haps and peacocks, the Mbuna seem to build their mini hierarchy and the haps and peacocks seem to build their separate hierarchy. Of course, they do mix and they do share aggression with each other, but most of the time the Mbuna are hard with the Mbuna and the haps and peacocks are hard with the haps and peacocks. And not to really Mbuna clashing with haps and peacocks. So it's kind of like two separate hierarchies. So this guy is the main boss of all my peacocks and haps. And then when it comes to the few Mbuna in this tank, the main dominant male is this Labiotrophius cichlid, about 6 inches, pure white, very awesome looking fish. After that I have this Obi, not an Obi, this is a Kenyai cichlid slash red zebra hybrid. This is one of the first African cichlids that I pulled out of the mother's mouth. She's a very old fish, very cool looking. Other than that, I have this Mbuna. This right here is a male, is a juvenile, is a male Mason Reef cichlid. Right now, of course, not showing much colors because I bought him as a juvenile, so he's still waiting for that moment where he could just feel confident enough to bring his colors up. Hopefully he's not too aggressive. And then back there I have a yellow lab cichlid, and he is awesome as well. I stripped him from his parents and he got a lot of history with this fish. Other than that, I have this beautiful red jewel cichlid. Once again, she's from West Africa and her colors are just absolutely amazing. You know, if you've been following my channel for a while, I've had this fish for a long time and the entire time she's been looking awesome. Her male died a little while ago, but you can see she's still very beautiful and definitely the jewel of this tank. Next I have my Tanganyikan cichlids. So I have two Frontosa cichlids, both about the same size. This one being a little bit more dominant. The other one likes to stay in that little rock with the loaches and stuff. But both of these really stay to themselves. The fish don't mess with them because they're so big and they really don't mess with anyone else. And they definitely look awesome. They do take a long time to grow, but very cool looking fish. I also have a Tropheus the Boise cichlid from Lake Tanganyika. I have a lot of history with this fish. I've had this fish. This is one of the fish I first got when I first got into African cichlid, so definitely a lot of history with this fish. It looks really awesome, and this fish is quite aggressive. It holds its own very well. If you remember, a while ago I had this in my American cichlid tank, and that's because he was being too rough with my new African cichlids, or my cichlids who were new at that time. So I put him with my American cichlids, and even in that tank he started to dominate. So these Tropheus the Boise cichlids, they're small because he's only about 5 inches, but he definitely is aggressive and can hold his own his own, and just he's a very cool fish. Other than that, now I have a few Victorians. I love Victorians because Victorians just carry so much red. So this is a female zebra, I forgot the scientific name, but it's a zebra Victorian. Right now she's a little bit, this is a female, so not a lot of color is going to be seen, and she's a little bit deformed. You can see her body is like kind of weird shaped, but she's a fish that I've kept for a while, and she definitely looks pretty cool. I have these two guys who look awesome all the time. This is my Neri. Of course, he could look better, but I'm still pleased that I'm able to get this much color, being that he's so small compared to the other fish. And then I have my Flameback, who's even smaller than him and showing a little bit more intense red. So I'm definitely pleased with these two. I really get no problems between those two as far as aggression towards each other. And overall, this African Cichlid tank, really not too many problems with aggression, and I guess that's the reason why I'm not getting color, because there's no competition. But other than that, I have this female salmon point hippo hap. Maybe in the future I'll let her breed with him. I think their fry will look pretty awesome. Then I have a female Neri who's right there, and that's all my Victorians. And then I have my Malawis. So let me show you some of the females that the juveniles ended up being females. This Fireline Maloto, which sucked because, you know, the males look extremely awesome while the females, you see, she's thumbs down. Who else? This Taiwan Reef. I always wanted the Taiwan Reef, a male, and I just can't seem to get it. I've tried like 5 individuals and they all ended up being females. The female, the pattern on the female looks cool, but you know, the male looks just much better. Who else? I have this Malawi eye biter. I think by now, if it was a male, it would have started showing male color. So this is another female, my second female. The second time I bought a Malawi eye biter and ended up with a female. This OB Peacock, who's back there, she ended up being a female. And those are all the females I'm stuck with. Now I'm not sure if I want to get rid of them or let them breed with some of these males and see what kind of fry they produce. I'm going to figure out in the time to come. Other than that, I have this. This is Electric Blue Eye showing just amazing color. And you know, I can't have my YouTube icon as an Electric Blue Eye without having one showing such awesome color. So he's definitely doing a good job being my mascot. I have, who else? I have, that's see, he's showing a little bit of color. That right there is my Mason Reef, trying to show a little bit of color in the shadows. Right here is a Eastern Happy Hap. Sometimes he shows good color, sometimes he doesn't. He's just in that middle stage. He's about, I'd say, 4.5 inches. So he's in the middle of the hierarchy, still trying to figure out his place. Same thing with this fish that was supposed to be, what was this supposed to be? It was supposed to be a tangerine tiger. You can see it looks nothing like one, but it's, I'm still gotta wait because sometimes the colors do get dark, and it's definitely a male because the blue face and all of that shows when it's ready to fight. But you can see it still has a lot more work to do as far as producing color. Who else? I think that's just about everybody. I just bought the other day a male sulfur head, so we'll see how he fits in. And that's my African Cichlid tank. I'm still waiting for everybody to color up. I'm still waiting to figure out what I got to do with my females. But for now, it's very cool, very relaxing. Of course, when they start coloring out more, it will be a little bit more enjoyable. But for now, it's good. Oh, I forgot to talk about my loaches. I have 5 loaches in this tank. The average size is about 5 inches, and then I have my the largest loach. You can see the tail back there. She's about 10 inches. And I'm starting to have a theory about these clown loaches. I think the females get the biggest based on the way these smaller guys treat the female. Well, the big one, I think that the big one is a female because they're always chasing her around and all of that. So that's just a little theory, but I think the bigger clown loaches are females. She's a big girl, about 10 inches compared to the other ones that are 5 inches. And I bought them all around the same time, so that's a little theory. And then also in there I have, if you can see that little gray tail on the bottom, that's a little big-eyed catfish. I say little big. That's a big-eyed catfish. One of the oddest fish I keep. I can't find any other videos of that fish, any other photos of that fish, any articles, nothing about that fish. So very rare and awesome, but they spend a majority of the day behind this rock. Eventually I might want to change up my scape a little bit. You know, with haps and peacocks, they prefer open water, so eventually I might take out some of these rocks. I'm just a little concerned about my clown loaches because if I do take out all these hiding places, what would they do? But yeah, that's a look at my oh, I forgot, did I speak about the dolphin? You gotta keep dolphins. Dolphins are just absolutely amazing. Whether it's a male or a female, they both show neat colors. Of course, you know, the males look better, but females aren't too bad. But yeah, that's the 125 gallon African cichlid tank. And once again, I'm just waiting for those colors to start finally coming in. Okay, so now we go to the rest of the tanks. I think I may have taken too much time with that African cichlid tank. Already 10 minutes into this video, so I might have to be a little bit more brief with these other tanks. But yeah, this is my 55 gallon low-tech planet tank. Formerly, this was my high-tech planet tank, but I took the whole high-tech idea, the CO2 and everything, the strong lights, and I put it over there in that 125. So now this is low-tech. I have a regular T5, one of those lights that come with the tank. What else? Yeah, no CO2 other than that which is produced by the fish. And so far I'm loving this tank. It's not really as full of plants as I want it to be, but I'm glad that with the scape that I have. So basically with the scape, I just had one big boulder in the yard and I cracked it up and I got all these tiny pieces and I just spread it about and it came out pretty well. Yeah, so eventually this sword right here, the ruffle sword, will grow up a little bit bigger. It is growing nicely week by week. And on this side I'm going to have a nice little forest of these lilies. And then to the left, I'm going to have this big Amazon sword. Right now, the leaves are starting to die off because it's like changing the whole diet. Before I used to get a lot of light, and now it's not a lot of light. So all the old leaves that were all big and huge, they all died off, and now it's producing these new leaves that are more fit for this new lighting. But yeah, as far as plants, that's all I want to do. Amazon sword, lilies, and then a few pieces of nacris. I'm not sure if I want to keep this in here, but I guess it all depends on how these Amazon swords and these big plants, it depends on how they look when they are big. Other than that, when it comes to fish, you know, I have the platies. Platies look awesome in fully planted tanks, and these regular beer tanks, they really don't have such a pleasant look to them, but they still are awesome. They're breeding, they're not breeding as much because, you know, before when this tank was so thick with plants, the fry has so many places to live. The fry don't really have too many hiding spots, and on top of that, I introduced a few predators to this tank, so not a lot of fry being produced by these platies. I also have my self and mollies, the dolphin molly, and this water is a little bit murky, and that's because I bought a lot of bottom feeders, one of which is these black coolie loaches, which is, this guy is back and forth going crazy. I have 5 of those, and I have a few catfish, and they just go all along the bottom and stir up the dirt, and that's why this water is so murky compared to that tank. You can see it's a big difference, but not too much so that this tank is unenjoyable. So yeah, I have the platies, I have the mollies, then I try to get a few oddball small dwarf fish. So I have this apistogramma right here. This I bought as assorted, so eventually I'm going to have to figure out what type it is. Right now I think it's the cockatoo, I think that's how you pronounce it, but I think it's that one, but we'll have to see eventually when it gets older. I have my puffer still doing the same thing, hunting. My camera isn't really focused in too well, but one right there is hunting, and the other one is somewhere, most likely hunting as well. I showed you in a different video, I had these tiny little dwarf stone catfish. At the moment, I don't see any. It always takes me a while to spot them out because they are just so camouflaged. But yeah, I have 4 of those that like to go all along the bottom. Then I have 5 coolie loaches, as I said before. And this coolie loach is just definitely tempting this Butterkoferi, especially now that I'm starting to feed the Butterkoferi worms. This coolie loach is just tempting them all day. But yeah, the goal with this tank is to get these plants to grow up, and then I try to introduce some small dwarf fish. It would be nice to have a little community of all these rare oddball dwarf fish. Maybe eventually I'll start pulling out the platies and just have a nice set of tiny fish. Here's that other puffer, and he's closer. This is the bigger one. But yeah, I've had these for a while now, and they definitely are some cool fish. So next we have the Butterkoferi. This is the biggest fish in the fish room. You know, my koi outside, they're the biggest fish that I keep, but as far as fish in fish tanks, she's the biggest. I bought her when she was about 1 inch, and look how big she is now, close to 10 inches, and she definitely has a lot of personality. Right now she's waiting to be fed, so let me feed her for the sake of the video. So regularly she eat Hikari pellets, but her favorite treat are these Tubifex worms. This is a cube of Tubifex worms, and I just simply drop it on the top, and she take it and she swallows it. She eat about 6 in a row, so she definitely loves these things. But she's an awesome fish. Now I was considering selling her only because, you know, that 55 that used to be there, that cracked. I would have made this the new home for the green terrors, and that way it would have been a little bit more profitable than her being here, because, you know, my green terrors, they would spawn for me, and then I could use their babies, sell them off, and have money for the fish room, compared to her where she's just in there by herself doing her own thing, really not producing much. But she is an awesome fish. She does have some amazing personality, so that's something I got to consider, whether or not I should sell her and make this a tank for my green terrors, or whether or not I should keep her, because, you know, it's always just being that my fish room is so diverse. I love the fact that I'm able to keep one of these pet-like fish, because, you know, these large cichlids produce just such amazing personality, especially when you have a one-on-one. In my 210-gallon tank, you know, I'm keeping large cichlids again, but when you have a one-by-one, it's just a better experience. Let me show you again. But yeah, that's the 75. Then if we come down here, this is a 20-gallon. This is in the place of my old 55 that cracked. This is just there temporarily, and it's growing out a fish that could be a monster fish. I bought this as an impulse buy. I was shopping on Live Aquaria and it was on sale, so I bought it. And this is an Indonesian Datnoid, and this thing is just extremely shy, so you won't be able to see much of it. But if this fish grows nicely, if he grows faster than what people say, he will be homed in a 210-gallon large fish tank. But, you know, these Datnoids have a reputation of being just some of the most slowest fish in the fish keeping hobby as far as the growth. And considering their size, who wants to wait years for that? So I'll have to see if he is able to keep up. If he's able to reach a size where he's not eatable by the end of the year, he'll go into the 210. However, if by the end of the year he's still small enough to be eaten, I may have to give up with him. But for now, he is a cool little fish. He only eats worms and live foods, but eventually, as he gets bigger, as he starts to associate me with food, he should be onto pellets. Then I have my 29-gallon Hillstream Tank. This tank is home to a number of fish, including a school of white cloud minnow. I love these white cloud minnows because they really stay at the top. I did a video about fish that swim at the top, bottom, and middle, and these are definitely a good fish that spin at the top. They really don't go like below 5 inches. They pretty much stay at the top when I'm doing water changes. All the time they're at the top, and it's just awesome to have so much activity at the upper level. Other than that, I have a, where is it? I have a goby, a freshwater neon dwarf goby. Right now it's not in view, but when it is in view, I'll show you it. And then I have some Hillstreams right there. I just shot across. That's perched in that rock right there. That's the goby. Now I do think it's a female because males do show a nice brighter blue. So maybe eventually I'll grab a female. I'll grab a male, but for now she's in here. And then I have my favorite fish, the main stars of the tank, my Hillstream loaches, which have just been amazing because they've been spawning. And now I counted all together about 6 fry out at once. That's one of them right there. That's the biggest. But yeah, I was able to get these fish to breed. Now I went from 4 individuals. Now I have about 10, and it's just awesome. Now the main reason why I set this tank was because Hillstream loaches are my favorite fish. One, because they're extremely beautiful. If I could find one that's on his stomach, you'll have a better look at that beauty. They look a lot like stingrays. And 2, because they're good algae eaters and just awesome fish to keep. So I'm really glad that they were able to breed for me. Now, how did I make them breed, or how is the tank appropriate or for them breeding? This tank, oh, that's one right there on the stomach. If you wanna, he's not close enough. I wait till they get close enough to give you a better look at the back. But how did I get them to breed? This tank is subtropical tank. Hillstream loaches like subtropical water, meaning that it's not too warm. So what I do is just don't put a heater. Outside is 80 degrees, so and this tank is going to be 80 degrees. And then in the winter time, when it's like 65 in here, this tank drops to 65. And I think the changing of the seasons really plays a role with them breeding. Yeah, and on top of that, I have all these little caves, rocks, crevices, and then I have a lot of algae. This is all algae being grown from my LED night crew light, which does a great job doing that. And then if I feel as if the algae being produced in this tank isn't enough, I'll go and I'll grab a rock out the pond, which is what this is right here, and I'll toss it in here and let them graze off of that. That's Charlie. But yeah, I'm loving this tank. I got a lot of fry, and everything is doing awesome. I do have an infestation of Malaysian trumpet snails. I added a few originally because I wanted them to clean up after the white cloud minnows, because those eat flakes. But of course they went and took over, so now I added about 10. Now I have easily over 100. So I've been taking them out manually, and I also introduced one assassin snail, so hopefully in time he should get their population in check. Over here the plants are doing awesome. This plant is kind of like Java fern and Java moss in a way that it doesn't need substrate. The other day I came and the substrate was just floating this high, and it's been like that. I left it like that for a week just to see it, and really it just kept growing. So this plant really doesn't need a substrate. The main thing that you need with this plant is lights and just, I guess, good nutrients in the water. And the reason why it gets lifted sometimes is because under this thing, let me see if I can focus, you can see right there, nope, that's a rock. But under there my Hillstream will just like to zip back and forth, and because of that they detach the roots, and that should make it goes higher and higher. But for now, yeah, it's on the bottom. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Next, that's a look at the Hillstream fish. A very beautiful fish, very awesome fish. But yeah, that's the 29-gallon tank. I finally got some breeding action, and it's just awesome. So next, we have this 55-gallon. This tank was my Geophagus Steindachneri tank. That's one right there, and that's another one. But I'm starting to change my plan. These Geophagus are awesome, but a tank just for them I don't think is appropriate for my fish room. Only because well, really because of no specific reason, but because I want something else. These fish are awesome, but I don't think that they deserve a whole tank in my fish room. They deserve a tank maybe with other fish, but not this tank. So I'm going to be maybe selling some of them, and maybe keeping the father of them all, which is this big guy right here. Maybe keep him and a female. But as far as keeping all of them, no more. So eventually I'm going to change it out. But for now, it is a growout tank. I have a red terror growing in this tank for the 210. Hopefully it's a female, because you know the female should have amazing red. And then I have a Texas cichlid also growing out for the 210. But yeah, that's this tank. And I do plan on changing it, so either it'll be another colony, or I'll choose a pair of cichlids for this tank, or something. But these Geophagus are going to be gone, and they were doing awesome as far as breeding. You can see I have a female with eggs in her mouth over here, and there's another one somewhere in here, and so I got a lot of breeding action. That's another one right there, I think. Yeah, I get a lot of breeding action, but just I think this tank could have something better. Geophagus once again are awesome fish, but I want to do something else with that tank. Then I have this 125-gallon high-tech planet tank. This tank, the plants are finally starting to adjust to the new system. You know, the lights are a little bit less compared to when they were in that tank, and that's because they were closer to the surface. Also, the CO2 distribution isn't as much, only because this tank is bigger, and of course, if I'm still using the same amount of bubbles per second, it's going to be less than in a smaller tank. So the plants will they have to adjust. But now the cryptspirale is finally adjusting, and the way I know that is because when I look under the tank, I can finally see roots reaching the bottom of the glass. So I mean they're finally starting to produce new roots, and on top I also see a few new leaves. So these plants are finally starting to adjust. As far as fish, I lost a couple of fish during the whole swap. I lost about 4 discus, I lost a couple of rainbow fish, and I lost a couple of danios. But I'm not going to replace them because this tank is already overstocked. So let me show you the current stock. I have this beautiful electric blue acara. Right there is one of the 2 discus that remain. I have all my barbs, my Odessa barbs, rosy barbs, the Ninsen barbs, all the different barbs that I had in the 210. That's the other discus. He's not showing much color now. I have my corridors, pepper cories, and skunk cories somewhere in here. The gold barbs back there. Siamese algae eaters, a school of harlequin rasbora, along with some lamb chop rasbora, like 3 giant danio left, Bosmani rainbows, the iron red rainbow. I have a male and a female. The other day I saw them breeding, but I came too late, and all the eggs got eaten by a tiger barb. I have 2 tiger barbs in this tank. The turquoise rainbows and all these other rainbows. Yeah, that's all the fish in this tank, and for now they're gonna stay. Yeah, just because it's overstocked. But yeah, that's a look at the 210, not the 210, what is this, a 125. I'm still waiting for all the plants. This plant, Crypt Paralysis is already set. I just gotta wait for this other side to get set. All the Crypt Wendiety, the swords and all of that, they all still have to readjust to this new lighting. But for now, this thing is doing good. The fish are now alive and thriving. I also have my, what is that? I'm just forgetting everything in this video. But that is a Golden Wonder killifish. I had a school of them, but they all jumped out, so that sucks. But yeah, that's a look at the 125-gallon planted tank. Once again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Next is my 125-gallon reef tank. I just added a few new inverts to this tank, one of which is that feather duster. I added a few turbo snails, which arrived so big. Look at them. And a lot of people don't like big turbo snails because they just are so clumsy, and they definitely are proven to be clumsy. You can see he's trampling over my zoas. The other day I found these mushroom polyps tossed over. So these turbo snails are just so rugged and careless, but they do their job and they take care of the algae. I also added an emerald crab. I added another skunk cleaner, a skunk cleaner shrimp. But yeah, this thing is still doing good. Everything's still thriving. I just did a video on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I had this rock flower anemone that likes to eat all my hermit crabs. You can see the shell left over after he takes out the body. I have another rock flower over there, some mushrooms back there, mini carpet anemone, the Duncan coral doing awesome on over 20 heads, trumpet coral, a species of green star polyps, a little zoa garden which is being trampled, Montipora corals which were at one point they were fighting each other, growing on top of each other, but now it seems like they're going their separate ways. Then as we come over here, I have my yellow polyps which are starting to take over. They're all on this rock, which is what I wanted, but now they're starting to climb on this rock and that rock, so maybe I'll find some other corals that could sting them, or just try to cover them up so that they could die. I think it would be harder if I try to rip them off the rock, so instead I'll get like maybe a Montipora coral to cover that side and blind them from the light, and eventually they should die off a little bit. I have this Galaxia down here, and my Devil's Hand leather coral back there. Green star polyps doing awesome. I have two different types of green star polyps in that rock. You can see the different shades, the darker green on the left, lighter green on the right. But yeah, this thing is doing awesome. All the fish still alive. My clownfish, what is the other one? My platinum clownfish, Macassa wrasse, the cardinals, everything is doing awesome. But yeah, that's a look at this tank. So next we have this 210-gallon American Cichlid tank. This right here is the largest of all my tanks. This tank is also not in a fish room. This is on my main level, so it's like the main display tank. And my goal for this tank is just to have a nice community of some large cichlids. This is my biggest tank, so I say why not keep the biggest fish in this tank. So let me give you guys a look at some of the fish. Now a lot of the fish in this tank won't remain. They're just in here for the sake of comfort for my main fish. And then eventually when these fish get big enough, I will remove some of them. Like this female red devil, she's going to be gone. She's just in here for the sake of comforting these other fish. You know, the more you have, the more comfortable they feel. Then eventually as they get bigger, they really won't need so many fish to feel confident. Then I have this male red devil who's her brother. Eventually he's going to be rehomed as well. But I'm starting to fall in love with him. He's showing some awesome color, awesome behavior. Then I have this black belt cichlid, definitely showing a lot of amazing features, some cool personality. And I'm starting to consider whether or not this is a full-blood black belt, because you see all those different colors that this guy is showing. But he's definitely coming out to be a very beautiful fish. Then I have the Salvinized cichlids. I have 3 of these. These also might be removed because they really don't get as big as they should. Some of the other fish can eat them when they're in their adult size, so I may have to remove them. I'm not sure if I want to keep them all together. Maybe I'll keep them in a tank for them to breed, or maybe I'll just give it to the species because they are some very, very aggressive fish. Other than that, I have my pair of green terrors. You can see the male, it's not looking too good. His son is over there, but yeah, he's in his tank with other fish, other competition, so his colors are not as good as they should be. Eventually when I find a tank for him, he will go in a fish room along with his female. I have this Jack Dempsey cichlid who is just absolutely amazing. I used to look past some of these common fish because I said they're common, but now that I keep them, they definitely are some awesome, beautiful fish. Definitely I want this guy to grow up and to be a member of this tank. Who else? I have some silver dollars in this tank, 2 striped, 2 spotted. Eventually I might rehome these. I'm not sure, I still got to consider. Maybe I'll put them in another tank in the fish room. But these spotted silver dollars will potentially be food for some of the fish that get larger, so they will have to go at that point. Then I have the 2 main stars of the tank, my 2 Cichlid Calbera peacock basses, and they definitely are growing nicely. If you remember, I just did an unboxing about a month ago, and they were half the size that they are now, so they are growing nicely. More color coming in every day. That's the other one. Where is he? He's somewhere back. So I have this one right here, and then I have the other one back there. I finally got them to eat pellets, so that's awesome. But I still feed feeders just to help with their growth rate. But they are now firmly pellet trained, so if I ever just choose to stop feeding feeders, they won't die. They have a nice appetite for pellets. Other than that, I have under this rock. He was under that rock. I'm not sure where he is now, but I have a 4-line Pictus catfish. And I have a Raphael catfish. You can see his tail, that little white thing is his tail. His face is right there. And that's all the fish that I have of today. Of course, you remember I do still have the red terror growing out in the basement. I have the Datnoid in Texas. So eventually they're going to come up here. And at the end of the day, or at the end of when everybody's grown up, I'm going to choose about 7 to live in this tank permanently. So we'll see who fits in. I don't want fish that's too aggressive. I don't want fish that's growing too slow that can become a mill, so I gotta find the right candidates for this tank. But yeah, these fish are growing nicely. I am getting a lot of color. Look how bright that Salmonite is. It's just too bad they're so aggressive. The Jack Dempsey, another beautiful fish. He's not growing too fast, but look at those colors. The black belt looking awesome. And yeah, that's a look at the 210. I guess I'll give you guys a little feed in action. So I feed some Hikari again, Hikari Cichlid Gold, and sometimes Hikari Massive or Delight. Right now I'm going to be tossing in some Hikari Cichlid Gold. I just fed them a few minutes ago, but I feed them a couple times throughout the day, and then I'll do more frequent water changes, all for the sake of them growing faster. So that's pellets. You can see the peacock bass is the first one to swipe through. Then everybody else joins in. But yeah, that's a look at the 210. I guess I'll give you guys now a brief look at the pond. Okay everyone, so here's my backyard pond. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I just did a video, but what you need to know, or what is new, is I just added some plecos to this pond. You know, this pond is just covered in algae, all the walls, all the rocks within it, the driftwood, full of algae. So I said, let me toss in some plecos. So I added 3 albino bristlenose plecos, 1 regular bristlenose pleco, and 1 royal pleco. I'm doing a video on it. I'm going to do a before and after video, so we'll see how they look by the time September comes around. Right now, this pond is covered with all these little leaves. I'm not sure why, but these leaves are just dropping sooner than normal. Usually they all stay tight until fall, but every day I have to go and clean these leaves off the top. But nothing to complain about. Everything is doing awesome. These finally bloomed. I don't think when I did that video about the pond these were bloomed yet. That's being in the city. I got the nice pond waterfall sound, then I got all of these other sounds because I'm in the middle of the city. But yeah, that's a look at the pond. Give you guys a brief look at the 90-gallon pond. I'm just making this video longer and longer. And here's a look at the 90-gallon pond. Same thing. If you want to see more about this pond, just watch that other video. Nothing's changed. I do got a lot of inoculus growing in this pond. I just had to trim it the other day. Oh yeah, I'm not even sure why I brought you guys over there. So YouTube, that's a look at what's going on. Once again, any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you like what you see in my fish room, my car alarm again. If you like what you see in that fish room, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you know I have a lot for you guys. And I'll see you next time.